All right, after all the work we've done to this bike so far, really mostly just taking out parts and trying new parts like the wiring harness, today we're gonna actually try to start it, but it does come with a few challenges, so let me explain. One of those challenges involves getting the bike out of gear. See, you can start the bike while it's in gear, holding in the clutch, but the clutch situation really isn't where it needs to be. So the whole, I guess, process of getting the bike in the garage was a challenge because there is no left foot assembly currently on the bike, nor is there a shifter to shift the bike through the gears. Even though I have that part, we're gonna install it today. But the way we got the bike in the garage, we ended up forcibly rolling the bike while it was in gear without the clutch. And we were eventually we were able to jam pliers in between the cable and the lever, and then that allowed the bike to roll freely as if you were pulling the clutch in, disengaging the clutch. So today I'm gonna install the left foot shifter assembly, and previously I told you guys that a problem I had was that the left foot shifter assembly was broken off when this bike was in an accident because I guess when they contacted the ground, it snapped off and the bolts were left in the frame. But I already got the bolts out a few days ago, so let me show you what I did to get those out. So I just got one of the broken bolts out in the frame from the left foot assembly, and I've never done this before, and I almost actually gave up. But I got this set from Harbor Freight, this tool extractor that actually works. So I started off small and I was working my way through, and then it just wasn't coming out, and then I was like, I'm about to give up. And then something told me to take your time, and I put one more left-handed drill bit in there, and that last one immediately grabbed it. So this whole time I feel like I was probably using the wrong side. So I'm starting in the middle on the second one, but I am very pleased that I was able to get that broken bolt out, because that made me feel real freaking good. Because this is, man, seeing a broken bolt off into the frame, that's scary, but we got it out. Look at that. This makes me feel so freaking good. And that one was right there, so now I got to do this one, and use this center punch tool that I don't need a hammer for. It does a decent job. I think I prefer the ones that you just hammer it straight in, but these are the ones that I was trying before. Started off small and tried to work my way up, but I'm gonna start in the middle this time, probably with this one, and we're gonna go ahead and try to get this last one out so we can mount the foot assembly. I wish I should have got it one. I could have just hit it with a hammer, made it easier. This thing is a bit of a challenge to deal with. Just gotta get. Can't be doing that though. Oh God. Well, that's one that's gone. It's time to go to the big one. This thing's coming out. It's coming out, guys. There we go. Come on, baby. Got it. Let's go. Ah, yes. That one was a little bit tougher because of the angle, but we got it, man. We freaking got it. I've never done that before. And now that these two are out, we can put the left foot assembly on, and we can install the new shift link, take this piece off because it's broken. We got a new one of those. And now when I get the clutch cable fixed, I'm gonna leave this one on until we start the bike. I got a new one for the new handlebars. Dude, we're good. This project is done. I've never done this before. The bolt on the left is the one that I was struggling with quite a bit. I just had trouble with getting that one. I just couldn't, drill it out enough. And the one on the right, I spent more time, drilling that one out, and it just, once it grabbed, it grabbed, and that was easy. But hey, it's done now. All right, just so I can get ready to install the new shift link, I'm gonna go ahead and take this old piece off right here. Luckily, the Allen key that's on here, hopefully it's not bent, it's still there because I didn't order that part. We're gonna take this off and then put the new piece on that connects to the splines, and we should be able to put this bike in the neutral soon. That screw still looks good, so we're gonna roll with that. All right, there we go. Got it. Yep, hey, it fits. No problem. And that screw is gonna go right in there. These are the bolts from the new assembly that I have, so I'm gonna make sure that it actually goes in and it threads without problems. Yep, that is one. That one's a little tight. There we go. Yep, they actually fit, so that's confirmation that we're good. What's interesting about this left foot shifter and the shift link on it is I found somebody selling both the left and the right side, but I already have the right side on the bike still intact. So I actually negotiated with them to sell me just the left side, and I ended up getting it for like, I think 130 bucks. So I saved quite a bit of money negotiating that deal, and now we're gonna be able to install it. So let's get to it. I still haven't routed the wiring harness correctly because I don't have handlebars. There's really no point. And plus I was testing in the last video, but we are gonna have to hook the switches back up, or at least the one on the right side, so we can actually press the power button and try to power on the bike. But a really big question mark is, will the bike start without the infotainment screen here? If you don't know, the Indian Chief comes with a very fancy screen, as they call it, the ride command, which, you know, does stuff like GPS, media control, like phone and music, but it also shows your speedometer, your mileage, any diagnostic codes that the bike has. But a lot of information is relayed to that screen, and nobody really knows if the bike will start without it, but we're gonna find that out today. But I feel like the problem we're gonna run into is that I can't see the diagnostic situation that this bike has, like if it's throwing any codes, because you know, it's missing clutch kill switches. The bike was tipped over. The kickstand is messed up, which has a sensor in it. There's a lot of different things that could possibly trigger an error code for the bike that could prevent it from starting. So if this bike does not start today, it's probably not gonna be because of the screen. It's gonna be because there's an error code that I can't see on the screen. All right, clearly we gotta take these back out. Here we go. Oof, this is... Easy peasy. All right, so the way that the shift link works, you have this little Allen key right here that you essentially loosen up, and I think I may have this backwards. This is the original one that was still on the splines when I got the bike. Simply slots on like that. So now you go to shift the bike, it shifts it. So I'm gonna get that tightened up and we'll see what it does. All right, I had to go back and check the manual to make sure I got the shift pedal correct. So let me show you what I had to do. All right, essentially this needs to be straight. And when I first put it on, this was kind of angled, but there's two little dots right here that have to line up. And if they don't, the bike won't shift correctly. But now that we have that where it is, I can put this Allen key back in there and we should be good to go. Oh, wow. Dude, it's in neutral. All right, I thought the bike went into neutral, but it actually didn't. It was actually, I think, going down a gear. So let's see if we can get the tire to freely rotate, because right now it's still in gear. All right, I think we are now in 6th gear. So let's see. I think that's 5th. It's 4th. 3rd. 2nd. 1st. No more gears. So if I go up 1. There it is, baby. That's neutral. There was absolutely no problem putting the bike in neutral. And what's funny is that I think the bike was in 6th gear. So that means that this bike was probably still in gear from the accident in 6th gear. So that kind of gives us an idea more on what happened during this accident. Next up is getting the power button. Gonna put that in the correct harness, part of the harness, and next up is getting the tank back on the bike. This one goes right there. And just to test this one good time, I'm gonna do this. All right, so we do have power. All right, so next up is getting the tank back on the bike, right there.
And we got the fuel vent, the electrical connection for the fuel pump, and also the fuel delivery to the fuel rail. So, all right, let's get it back on.
All right, here we go. All right. Can't mess this tank up anymore, right? Psych. Still got a very nice fuel pump still on this bike that I need to make sure nothing happens to. I'll tell you this though, the bike looks so much better from this side as if nothing is wrong, and then you come on the other side and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Yeah. All right, we got the fuel vent line back on. We got the electrical connection for the fuel pump back on. And we also got the fuel line connected again. A lot easier to go on than it did to come off. But I can tell you, I'm glad I'm practicing putting this on and taking it off. So when I get the new tank, it'll be a lot easier and less issues and possible mistakes. So. Like I said before, there's something that's going to stop this bike from running. It's going to be diagnostics codes that I can't see, but we got the fuel tank connected, we got power, we got the bike in neutral, so I don't know what's going to happen. It's not doing anything. Cut off. Okay. Here we go. Oh, at least it's trying. All right, we're gonna try this again. Why? Because we did disconnect the tank and it's got a prime up fuel and everything. We're gonna try it again. Prime again. All right, so that was successful, but unsuccessful. I'm actually surprised that the bike is even trying to start, but I think the problem, once it had to prime the fuel pump, but I'm thinking it might be the battery. So I do have a new battery tender that I could try to put on here and try to start it, but heck, we're in it now. Let's keep going. Let's try it.
All right, so I looked on this bike and I couldn't actually find like a piggyback so I can charge the bike. So this is one I had left over from my Harbor Freight chargers that is on the 109 and the one that's in the wall for the V-Rod. So I'm going to install this on the battery and we're going to try to charge it and see if that's what the problem is. So now I am going to disconnect some of these cables. All right, we got the computer or the ECM disconnected. I'm gonna fold that out the way for now. Take this one off. All right, I gotta zip tie this later on because I got it routed on the left side of the bike. So this is where I have the piggyback running. I gotta zip tie it and do a little bit better about that so it's not hanging. There's nothing stopping it from dragging, but for the sake of charging the bike, this is this will do. All right, so we got the charger over there. I'm gonna plug this in and I'm gonna have to wait. All right, so far we got the bike in neutral. It was previously in, I think, either 5th or 6th gear, but we tried to start the bike after we got the tank on and the connections, and it attempted to turn over, which is cool, knowing that we may not need the screen to do anything with this bike at this point, and also knowing that any diagnostics codes that were there, they're not preventing this bike from starting. So hopefully this is just a battery related issue because the bike has been sitting before I got it. It wasn't on charge when I first got it, and the light is indicating that it's charging the bike. It's not green like the 109 is behind me. That light's green, let me know that the bike or the battery is fully charged. So I'm gonna let it sit here for a bit and we're gonna come back and try to start it again, but
The fact that we don't need the screen possibly means that I could possibly ship the bike to Mexico once I get the handlebars and do a first ride. So let's see what happens.
All right, so it's a little bit later in the day and the light's green, so we're gonna try this again and see if it starts. Oh, baby, let's go. That's progress.
Oh, wow. And that.
That exhaust sounds
I said that exhaust sounds pretty goddamn good.
I hate it.
I said for it to be what it is, but
Oh.
not.
It sounds like
You
funky.
about to say it sounds gross?
Yeah, it sounds terrible. Alright, it sounds terrible, but
Alright, that wasn't uneventful at all. The bike will not restart back up. I think the battery is out again.
you see that light over there? It is now red again. So I'm gonna
Let the bike chill out a bit, charge up again, and we're gonna attempt to start this bike again. I think part of this is battery and old gas, but the bike did start up. And also I want to mention that, let me just show you.
These slip-ons sound like absolute trash. Do not get these slip-ons for this bike. It is a disservice to this bike. You're honestly better off leaving the stock exhaust on this bike because these sound terrible.
But nonetheless, the bike did start. Granted, it only ran for probably 10 seconds before cutting back off. But yeah, it started. So I've accomplished exactly what we set out to do. So that is another small win in this big project, but we keep moving forward.
All right, since the battery is, I guess, charging again, here's what we're gonna do. I've already started taking the battery off on the 109. I'm just gonna take the battery off of here, and I'm gonna drop it in here, and I'm gonna roll this bike out of here. Maybe, oh crap, I don't have handlebars. It's gonna be tough. I might roll it out just so we can start it and hear it a little bit better, but either way, I wanna put the battery in here and make sure that that's what the problem is and why the bike is having trouble starting. But let's see what we can do. All right, so we got the battery from the 109 in the Chief now, and I want to tell you I hate the way that they designed this because the 109's positive and negative is reversed compared to the Chief's battery, which means that I had to basically flip this positive lead around and wrap this one around, and it's not really made to bend like that. But either way, now we can rule out whether or not a bad battery is the reason why this bike isn't going to start. So I'm going to hook up the computer, one of the computers. It has multiple computers, and we're going to see what it does. And also, when I started the bike the first time off camera, I actually looked at the oil, and there is plenty of oil in here. So absolutely no problem with oil. So that's a good sign. Like I said before, you actually have to, the bike was showing no oil before I started it, but to get the oil on the dipstick, you have to start the bike. So, uh-oh, might not be the battery, might be something else. I don't hit the fuel pump priming. So in my troubleshooting test with this battery, I just found out that Indian conveniently stored the charging port for the battery under the bike. It is right there. So you don't actually need a tender, just plug it in right there. All right, so we learned a lot about this bike today. It doesn't like to not have a fully charged battery when it's attempting to start, and I'm pretty sure that's why it's having issues now. So we did get the bike started and it ran for a bit. We kind of found out that those freaking slip-ons sound like trash. I hate those things. Do not put those freaking slip-ons on a Chief if you have them. They sound like crap, and you can see how they rust out when they sit in the rain too long. But yeah, I'm gonna let this bike charge overnight, and then we're gonna come and try to do this again. But I did go ahead and drain that
old fuel out of the bike. I thought it was a fueling issue. Maybe it was like some old fuel that was having trouble, because the bike started, but it had trouble staying started. Then again, the bike hasn't been started in a while, so there's multiple things going on. But hey, we got the bike started, and again, small wins, and we're just gonna keep moving forward. Another small win that we got, or rather a big win actually, is we were able to shift through every single gear on this bike to know that the gearbox is good, and we have the bike in neutral now, so we can freely move the bike now that we have a shifter and a foot assembly on the left side. But I do want to make an announcement that I now have members set up on this channel similar to Patreon. So if you want to get in on that, you can hit the join button down below, and it basically gets you behind the scenes videos. So there's that for anybody that's interested in it. But if you're new here and you want to catch up on this series and see how we got to this point, you can click this playlist right here on the screen, and it'll take you to the very beginning, and you can essentially play catch up. But as always, thanks for listening to my story. Small wins. I'm going to keep it moving. But hey, if you're subscribed, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.